So this is the June 6th meeting.
Mr. Hamrick, if I may, I would like to stand for a moment of silence in respect for your family and for the Hamrick family in regards to your loss this week.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We also got in memory.
Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Brings us down to special recognitions and presentations, and our first one is canceled for this evening. South Harrison Middle School baseball team. They were the CWVAC baseball champions, and they already picked up their certificates, and that sometimes happens in the summertime. So with that, we'll move down to item B, the 2024 Golden Horseshoe winners.
Sure, we'll go ahead and. You want me to get- This is a special time of year. We usually have our middle schoolers can test to be Golden Horseshoe winners, and Harrison County has a long history of having middle school students that really outshine and do what they need to do for West Virginia history. So we have some of those students here tonight. We have the administrators here, and we're going to recognize you. I was offered by Shelley to, she kind of oversees that. She's a coordinator here. And I want to give you a little bit of history about Golden Horseshoe. One of the highlights of the 8th grade year is the opportunity for a student to become a Knight or Lady of the Golden Horseshoe. This prestigious program takes its name from the golden horseshoes given to the early explorers of West Virginia. In 1716, the governor of the Virginia colony, Alexander Spotswood, saw the need for exploration of the land west of the Allegheny Mountains, most of which is now West Virginia. Governor Spotswood presented each member of his party with a small golden horseshoe to commemorate the bravery of those who had crossed the mountains into western Virginia, beginning the golden horseshoe tradition. Translated from Latin, the inscription on each horseshoe reads, "Thus it was decided to cross the mountains." On the other side was written, "Order of the Golden Horseshoe." Because of this, the recipients became known as the Knights of the Golden Horseshoe. The Golden Horseshoe Test has been administered in West Virginia each year since 1931 and is the longest running program of its kind in any state. The top scoring students, which we have some of those here, in each county receive the prestigious award and are inducted as Knights and Ladies of the Golden Horseshoe Society. Since that time, approximately 15,000 8th grade students have received a golden pin in the shape of a horseshoe, much like those given by Governor Spotswood from some 300 years ago. This pin symbolizes the students' knowledge and understanding of their state's proud heritage. And so we're going to honor the ones that are here tonight that have been Harrison County Golden Horseshoe winners. And I just want to say, what I read here, was that part of the Golden Horseshoe Test? About how the Golden Horseshoe started and the horseshoe? No? Why wouldn't that be part of the history? This stuff kind of makes me crazy, right? So that's interesting. Every time I hear that, I think that's interesting. That should be a question on your test. So, all right, so this year's Harrison County Golden Horseshoe winners are as follows. We have Isaac Boyce from Bridgeport Middle. Isaac, if you had a chance, he was on the news not too long ago, if you had the opportunity to see that. Not only is he a Golden Horseshoe winner, he also won the Scripps Regional Spelling Bee and was in Washington, D.C., and just placed 60th place in the nation for spelling bee. So, and Isaac's principal is here, Mr. Oldacre, so thank you. for coming. And do you have a parent here, Isaac?
Yeah, I have my dad and my mom and my grandpa.
All right. Glad you could bring him along.
Thank
Yeah. Is a teacher here? Mr. Shaver in the back. Thank you. We also have Juliet Droust from Bridgeport Middle School. Also represented, Mr. Oldacre's here, and I'm assuming that you're the teacher? And then your parents are here. So congratulations to Juliet. Ethan Floyd, Lincoln Middle. Ethan is also, do you have parents or family? You got away, eh? You wouldn't be here unless you were here. And then Mrs. Scott is also back there, so congratulations to Ethan. Is your teacher here as well?
He's at a swim meet.
Okay.
First swim meet.
Good excuse for that. Aubrey, Anna, and I hope I say the last name right. Is Cindy?
Yes.
WI Middle School, and Mrs. Farrell is here representing WI. And you have family here? And then Serenity Owens, also WI Middle School. And also Susan Farrell and family here for Serenity. It's a big honor, and I understand that you'll be going to Charleston June the 11th for your ceremony in Charleston, and it's a real honor for you guys to represent Harrison County in Charleston, and we're proud that you'll represent us well. And the other thing is, you're 8th graders, you're going to high school next year. That's a big deal too, right, parents? Big deal. So congratulations to everybody. Thanks for the principals and for the families for bringing them in.
We'll get a group picture and then.
Why don't you bring the principals up?
Yeah, wow, that's the principals for the school to come up. I think that's a great idea. And the teachers, principals.
Oh, yeah. You organize.
You should stand in front of you.
We're a little, let's, yeah, just kind of scooch in just a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Right like that. All right. 3, 2, 1. And we, yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for bringing your kids in. To celebrate. Are we good? All right, thank you.
Next item up under special recognitions and presentations is a presentation from Geraldine Beckett. An update.
Okay, so I'm going to take just a few minutes to look at the things that we've been doing from the CT department to support what our schools are doing. So the first thing that we worked on was to provide some personal finance curriculum and hands-on activities to support the increase in personal finance credits that's going to be required to graduate starting with this next school year. So we have 2 personal finance simulations in these schools this year. and all the middle schools and all the high schools. The middle schools had Get a Life, West Virginia State Treasurer's Office, and the Reality Check by Truist is one for the high schools. We piloted it. It's a new program in South Harrison this year. We want to grow it to more schools next year. And I did a PD with the civics and business teachers to provide them with several free curriculum resources, a 7-day online course by Truist, semester-long course for Next Gen with an online banking simulation, H&R Block budget challenge, stock market games, several other things. And I'm going to work with the Chamber of Commerce next year to come up with a list of speakers on the different topics in personal finance, because they're going to be the same topics, credit, banking, budgeting, taxes, insurance, those kind of things. So I'm hoping to build a list of speakers, and not just in person, but I'd like to have 1 or 2 speakers that could attend virtually to the classrooms and be comfortable with doing that. So it's a little bit easier to set it up, makes it easier for the employer as well, not to have to leave their business. And hopefully the teachers will, reach out and be able to bring some of those people into the classrooms to make it real for their students as well. And as far as work-based learning experiences for our CT students, we have done a lot with Pierpont Aviation this year. We started last year by having a meeting with the principals and Pierpont. We took the principals and the counselors from middle schools and high schools up to Pierpont last year, had them tour the facility. We fed them lunch. I'm talking about Dr. Gilbert and I from Pierpont. And then after that, our ask was that the principals allow Pierpont to come in, their aviation team to come in and speak to the students, 8th graders, and then the upperclassmen in the high schools. And then my ask of the counselors and involving them was at the end of Pierpont's presentation, I wanted the counselors to be there with field trip forms already filled in, ready to pass out to the kids that were interested in going on a field trip up to Pierpont Aviation. And so that has worked out very well this year. It was, event planning was a kind of a new thing for me. And it was the reminders and everything was important. And when you're bringing all these parties together to make something happen, and the bus trips. And so it was very important that these things happen. We're going to continue it next year. Just spoke with Dr. Gilbert yesterday, and we're coming up with some dates for next year so we can have this planned out. The principals will have the dates ahead of time now. We had hospitality and culinary education. Charles Point Hospitality made a connection up there. And at Bridgeport Conference Center, we had students go up there and work with event planners, chefs, the sales directors, the event planning staff. And then the students competed in an event planning competition, and the winners won Me and Margarita gift cards. Charles Point Hospitality is a management company for Bridgeport Conference Center, Me and Margarita, and Microtel, the hotel up there. So the students got to tour all of those places. Of course, when we asked them what was their favorite place, what do you think they said? Me and Margarita. And so and actually, that was one of their favorite parts of it. So the gift cards for the winning team of competition was great. And then we took 50 kids, ProStart Baking, Pastry, and Hospitality and Tourism students to the newer culinary facility in Pierpont and the training center there. We talked about dual credit programs that are available for them. We wanted them to know about the tuition-free programs available at Pierpont through the West Virginia Invest Grant. So we wanted them to see what was available, because our students in ProStart Baking, Pastry, and Hospitality and Tourism, those pathways also exist at Pierpont. So the students can get college credits, save money, save time, and be rewarded for their success in high school. So job shadowing, after the hospitality education event at Bridgeport Conference Center, I asked students if they would be interested in going up there to do some job shadowing for maybe a full day or 2 days. And that also happened. We had 4 students go up there, and one of them was offered a full-time position. And I had human services students, been working with United Way this year, and it has really enlightened me and made me realize what all is offered. So our human services students, which are the students that learn about social work, the helping professions, I had a class of human services students from Liberty High School come up last month, and I worked with United Way agencies, and they rotated through in groups. They learned about what the agencies do for people, and they did some job shadowing. They were, interested in, and actually one thing Brad Griffey and I talked about is that it's good for, and not only is this good to get the students an idea of what these careers are like and the kind of work that they do, but it also informs the community about what United Way offers for its citizens. So the more that we get kids up here to this building and to the United Way agencies, the more that they will know what's available for their own families. Because lots of times they don't know, and lots of times the families don't know. So we're hoping that as we continue this activity, that it will be, more evident and that more people will be able to take advantage of what the United Way offers for them. And it was kind of funny. Brad said, Jerry, we're down 1,500 from meeting our goal. I said, you are? So, of course, I left with a bunch of donation pledge forms, right? And so I passed them around because I guess those forms didn't make it around here at the main office. So I passed them out. And the last I heard, we had over $1,200 that was donated. So I'm sure that by the time the rest of the forms get turned in, that we will have met and meet their goal. I'm very proud of everybody that works here and their generosity. I'm currently working with the director of the library. I want to get students over there, not only to shelf books and things like that and work the circulation desk, but they have programming on Thursday evenings from 4 to 8. That's when they do all their programming. If they're going to teach you how to sell your house, or they're going to help you learn about colleges, and they do so many different things over there. I was really surprised when I went to meet with her and saw everything that they do. So I'm trying to get some information from them so that we can pass it out to the students and make sure they know that that's an opportunity for them to volunteer, to assist, to get some work-based learning experience as well at the library. Working with Freed's Nursery next year. They have a master gardener there that I'd love to get into our CT agriculture programs, and as well as to provide support, get the people from Freed's involved in our CT programs and get them to the point where the teachers feel comfortable asking them to come in and volunteer to do certain things. There's lots of resources that our CT teachers can use with business volunteers, with business folks. They can ask advice about equipment to buy or materials, good vendors. They can use them to judge competitions. They can use them to help get their students ready for competitions, FFA, FBLA, and so on. Also, speakers, field trips, internships, job shadowing. It really goes on, and actually at the heart of it is mentoring. And if a student has enough experience with a business person, or has seen that person enough and has met that person, that can change their life. To have a relationship like that's an opportunity for them. Our pilot program at Parksburg Water Board for the agriculture student was successful this year. It's going to grow to 2 Liberty students next year, and we plan to invite CT agriculture students from other high schools to join the internship during the 25-26 school year. We did have a student from Liberty participate in the summer internship last summer with Hope Gas as well. I'm working with Ulrich Vicka from Provena to recruit graduating students for a paid apprenticeship they have in administrative assistant and mechanical machinist. I invited Ulrich to the senior mock interviews at Liberty High School, and he spoke with some students there that were interested in those apprenticeships. I learned and attended a statewide virtual job fair. This is something new. They've been doing it every month for about a year. It is basically, it's a very easy process. Job seekers register, employers register, and it's a 3-hour event. It's really cool. They have a chat on the side, and you go in and you can filter for the city, filter for the type of job. And when you visit an employer's digital virtual booth, they'll come in the chat and say, "Hi, how are you?" And then you can start a conversation with them. They can see your resume. You can actually do a video interview right then with this person, with the job seeker. So I do understand that the number of employers and job seekers is improving every month. It's increasing. And I'm going to work with the chamber. I actually already did this year some work with the chamber to roll this out to employers in Harrison County. All you really need is an open job, and you need someone that can register for the event, and that person maybe can also monitor the chat, monitor the booth during the event. It's only once a month, 1 day a month, about 3 hours. So I'm hoping that the plans are still in the works. The chamber is actually going to roll this out to employers at a business at breakfast opportunity. And those are once a month meetings they have to help employers learn things about HR practices, AI, taxes, insurance, all kinds of things that employers would be interested in. So they're going to couple the statewide virtual job fair presentation with a presentation from workforce development. So they're supposed to roll that out to the employers. So I'm excited about that as well. The Chamber of Commerce collaboration, it's been wonderful. We met once a month. Their education committee met in Mrs. Stetler's conference room, and they provided at times 10 or 20 business volunteers, depending on the number of students we were serving that day. We had 11 personal finance simulation events in the schools. So when you hear someone in the community say, our kids need to learn personal finance, you can tell them that they are. And the comments that you hear at those events, it's amazing. I heard a young girl say, now I know what my mom is talking about. And it's just, you hear it, and then sometimes they'll just go broke. But at the high school one, it's kind of cool because they have a part-time job available that you can get in addition to your full-time job. And at the middle school one, it's interesting because they go through it one time with a minimum wage job, having to buy everything they need and deducting it in the checkbook as they go through. And then they go through it again as if they were to have earned like an industry certification or a 2-year degree or a 1-year certificate or a 4-year degree with a higher income. And they go through and buy the same things again. And it's these two girls, they wanted the same house both times. I was like, ladies, and we're trying to upsell them, right? Ladies, you have much more money coming in. You can afford a nice place. They were quiet. We want the same one. Okay, no problem. I'm sitting here trying to figure out why, and they just started grinning and kind of giggling a little bit. And I thought, they think they've got us beat. They think they have beat this game and they are just going to win. And actually, in their minds, they thought, we are doing the right thing. And really, they were, because it was like a $150,000 house. So they really think about these things, and they figure, what can we give on? How can we do better? So it was just the comments that they made and the things that you learned that they learned. It was amazing. So the Chamber of Commerce also donated a little bit of money and provided volunteers for our annual Harrison County Schools Business Symposium. It is 11th grade students that come together for a business pitch competition. We had it down at Pierpont Caperton Center down the street. And the winners of that competition are going to be recognized by the Chamber of Commerce at an event in October called The Tank. It is the Chamber's adult version of Shark Tank, and they had it last October, and it's going to be an annual event. They had adult entrepreneurs giving their pitches and trying to get I think they won a $10,000 investment. So the Chamber wanted to know from me what other students did we have in the county that won entrepreneurial contests. So I gave them the information, and they are going to be honoring specifically our winners from the Business Symposium. It's a team of 6 students, and they will be attending the Robinson Grand in October. And the Chamber's going to recognize them as student entrepreneurial winners in the county. And the great thing out of that is that the Chamber has decided to give each of those students a $250 scholarship. So that's going to be nice. Then their parents are going to be invited. And we had 3 gifted students from Lincoln Middle who won their entrepreneurial contest. And we had a student from the VHS Business Fair who also was the winner of that contest. So all those students will be attending and will be recognized and get certificates from the Chamber. for their achievements. The Chamber also selected Women Inspiring Success honorees. These were women, they chose 4 of them. These were women who were successful in their own right, but had also given back to the community. So these women, I collaborated with them and the high schools to get these ladies in to speak to our freshman girls, to tell their story to them, to explain to them what their background was like. And maybe their backgrounds might not be much different from some of the students sitting in front of them. So there's always that path, there's always the good examples and the modeling and the roles that we want our students to see. They also provided, Chamber also provided employers for the senior mock interviews. So we're going to be doing those. We just did it at Liberty. It was something the school did on their own previously. And Mrs. Knight wanted to continue that this year. So we had it this year. It was a good event. So we're going to try to bring it to more schools next year. And I do provide professional development for the CT teachers to support them and provide work-based learning opportunities for their students. We're going to be having a PD on August the 6th. They're going to be working on certifications. What type of industry certifications can your students earn? So I'm inviting WVDE contacts to attend breakout sessions for our different programs of study. They're going to be working with their WVDE contact to get information about the different certifications for that program specific. For example, Carrie Brown's coming for the agriculture teachers, and she will work with them specifically on certifications that their students can earn, in addition to OSHA and customer service and some of the more general ones. And this year, we revived the CTE Student Advisory Council. This was something that was pre-COVID that Heidi Griffith had worked on, and after COVID, we never did anything with it again, so Mrs. Knight wanted to bring it back. So this year, I worked with the schools and talked to students, and we were able to get 12 students, and I had a virtual meeting. I asked them questions about what they felt was working in CT, what type of activities they liked, and how they feel we could grow the programs, how they feel we could recruit and get more students interested in CT. I'm seeing an event for next year. Not sure exactly what it's going to look like, but the students will be the ones that will be planning that event. I'll work with them, of course. We have several juniors and a couple sophomores, so that's good that we have that continuum for next year so that we can get more students involved. And then I also included a community services calendar. This one, I normally would have stopped in May, but there were some things in June I want to include too, so I made it June as well. And you can see that the first side is events that are happening that our students can get community service hours for, whether it be for scholarships, for a civic club, for honor society, whatever it might be. And then the other side is ongoing opportunities that students can volunteer for at any given time. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That brings us down to item 4, delegations. We do have one delegation, one speaker, and it's Adam Dyer. Yeah, 5 minutes.
All right, so hurry up, Doug. Good evening. I believe most of you know me pretty well, but for the record, I am Adam Dyer, an executive and owner at Blue Ridge Risk Partners, formerly Dyer Insurance Group, a local independent insurance agency that's been doing business in Harrison County for 130 years and serving the insurance needs of the board for nearly 20 years. I'm a lifelong citizen of Harrison County, went all the way through Harrison County schools. I love seeing the Golden Horseshoe presentation. Thanks to Mrs. Iquina, I was a winner of that in 8th grade, and it was just wonderful to see that that's still going on. I presently live here and I'm raising a family here in Harrison County. So I appreciate your time this evening. I'm here to discuss some matters relating to the board's insurance program. As I mentioned, our agency has serviced insurance policies and programs for the board for nearly 20 years. And we've done an exemplary job in that role. And to provide some context to validate that claim, I want to share some relevant data with you. The year that we began serving as the board's agent, the annual cost of your workers' compensation insurance was $922,000. Through our coordinated partnership with board staff to implement proactive risk, safety, and claims management practices, the claims experience has dramatically improved. This has resulted in a tremendous amount of savings to the board, with the current term's annual cost for this coverage being $219,000. Currently have one of the best claims experience ratings in the state, roughly 50% better than the average school board. This is one of the few measures that we can have as an insurance agency to show how effective we're being in our job. Our agency has also implemented a student accident insurance policy that has greatly benefited the board, students, and their parents by covering the out-of-pocket costs not paid by medical insurance for students that get injured at school. This has also resulted in eliminating the need for those claims to be turned into the board's BRIM liability policy, which makes the entire process much easier and less adversarial for the board and for the parents that are involved. Our office's in-house claims team services dozens of student accident and liability incidents and claims for the board each month. We're very, very proactive and engaged on almost a daily basis. As a top 75 insurance agency in the United States and one of the largest in the state of West Virginia, we have access to more insurers that can provide a quote for the board's policies than nearly any other agency in the state of West Virginia. And we do this proactively for the board on an annual basis. A couple of weeks ago, I was informed during a phone call from the board staff that the insurance policies our agency currently provides and services for the board were being signed over to other insurance agencies. My office was never notified that the board was putting out an RFP for these policies and services, and we were completely unaware it was happening. As you can imagine, that news was quite shocking. To be clear, not being notified of an upcoming RFP as the existing agent is something that our agency has never experienced in all of our years doing business with this board and several other boards in the state of West Virginia. It is completely abnormal and frankly unbelievable. This perspective I have has been validated by conversations with several treasurers and business managers from other counties, as well as other credible agencies that do business with boards of education in the state. Our agency fully understands the need for public entities to conduct periodic RFPs to ensure the best pricing, product, and service for the schools and taxpayers, and we're fully supportive of this practice. We've engaged in it multiple times previously. However, RFP processes should be both transparent and effective to achieve this goal. The fact that as the board's current and long-standing agent, you weren't notified of the RFP demonstrates a lack of both. It is important to point out that the RFP did not seek better options for pricing or product, simply to assign an agency to service the board's policies. Additionally, I am unaware that any of the other 30 insurance agencies located within Harrison County put in a bid, and I've also confirmed that the largest writer of boards of education in the state of West Virginia, USI, was also unaware of the RFP. That does not sound like an effective process to me. Again, no better pricing, no better product were achieved by this process. The decision was made to simply sign over the existing policies that our agency has worked for years to cultivate, put in place, and diligently service. Hear myself. The taxpayers saved no money, and the board's coverage is the exact same. You just fired a longtime local business that has served and supported the board and our community well as a good corporate citizen. The agencies you are signing our work over to are not located within Harrison County, and the tax revenue received from those commissions that support your budget through various bonds and levies will be moved out of our county. These agencies do not know the board's history and in many respects don't have the level of resources we are currently providing you, as I've demonstrated. I'm here today. I really don't even care about the money, guys. This is a matter of principle to me. I'm from this community. I grew up here. We've been doing business for 6 generations in the insurance industry here. I just want to make sure everybody on this board was aware of how this process was handled. Our agency wasn't notified of the RFP, that I find that to be abnormal and improper. There are questions from my perspective to the transparency and effectiveness of the RFP process that was followed. I'm requesting a formal inquiry into that process, including to know what agencies were notified of the RFP, and that the results be vacated and a new RFP process put forth. One that would be transparent and effective by including the board's current and longtime agent, as well as other relevant agencies that were unaware of the RFP, so that this board can be certain it's making a decision that's in the best interest of the students, faculty, and taxpayers of Harrison County, and treating all of those involved fairly with respect that's deserved. I really appreciate your time and your consideration. Thank you.
Mr. Hammond, if I may, Mr. Dyer.
Can we do it in superintendent's update because it's not on the agenda? So I had a question too. So. Okay. Yeah, we'll just, I have a question during the superintendent's update, but so we'll move to the superintendent's update.
Sure. You were provided this evening, I believe, with a new calendar for next year. And inside that calendar, some things I just wanted to share with you. Some of it, just information. There is a timeline in there. This is really more under personnel. So Mrs. Leesburg, if you want to chime in at any time, we've been working on our policies now with every department, going through every policy Harrison County has, from personnel, finance, you name it, we have looked at it. Neola has looked at it with us, they've sent it back. Rebecca's been working on that with Tammy, and every department has looked at every policy we have. That's not to say there are some administrative guidelines that will be coming at the same time. One of those will be the exam. That'll be an administrative guideline. And then the attendant or the discipline policy, that's a hot one too. We've really looked at that. We're getting some feedback now from principals on the different levels of what you can do there, trying to tighten that up a little bit. That will be an administrative guideline. So that when there's a change or somebody wants to look at the exam policy, we're not changing the whole policy. You just will do an administrative guideline to make any change to that. So the policy will just be what's in code, what is federal and state code, and then we'll do administrative guidelines, which is what Neola recommended. Harrison County used to do those. If you're a past principal, we used to have administrative guidelines. It was early in the early 2000s. You probably remember getting those to clarify what we want to do as a county that's specific to our county. And it doesn't change. You don't have to rewrite your policy every time. You do an administrative guideline that falls in conjunction with your policy. So we kind of laid out what we'd like to see, these Neola policies. We're ready to do a complete update of all these policies. So this is your guideline. It's this page that kind of gives you a timeline. So we can have these in place for when the kids come back to school and the principals will have them in their hands. And what we'd like to do is share with you prior to them going on the 16th. You could, I don't know, there's different things we could do. We can give them all to you. Rebecca said she would like to speak maybe with each one of you to talk about the process. I don't know how to really make that work. We can try to look at that, or we can give them to you in a binder, all those policies before they go out. There is a first reading and a second reading, so the public has a lot of time to look at those. So that's kind of what it looks like. We can talk about.
Are they going online on that day?
Yeah, Yeah, on the 16th. but
Is
we
there a
want you
way
to have
to,
them
rather than
prior
giving us
to-
a binder, Mr. Oliver, if you don't mind me asking,
Oh,
to put those on with a hidden link to where we could see them before they go live?
Those will go live on Board Docs. And they're actually going to come off of our website proper. So they're going to only be available on Board Docs. Now, how Board Doc works, I really don't know how to answer that question. I can look into that though.
Yeah,
Just
something,
privately.
like I said, if you were putting it online, or not through Board Docs, but they go to the public on our website, I'm assuming, correct?
No, if we put it on the website, it's public.
But there's no way that you should be able to have one hidden page that's not actually live that we would have the link to?
No, if you can get to a link, it's
Yeah.
live. Now, what we could probably do is make
can you share them electronically? with
Yeah,
them?
we could probably do like a OneDrive link.
Yeah.
So we
That
can
would
put
be
them on
better. I
somebody's
just-
OneDrive and then shoot it out to you.
I'm giving away all my binders now, I'd like to look at it.
I'm not asking that paper after all this.
She-
Yeah.
We might have a couple that want them, and so you can actually look at them. So you can let us know how you would prefer to get those.
I'm not one of those.
Okay, I
Is this
figured
gonna
that
be
out.
every single policy?
This is all of our policies. They've all went through.
Specifically, I was asked about policy 27 last week.
Yes.
And I wanted, yeah.
It's been a huge undertaking. We found a lot of things in state code that were shalls that we had changed them. I mean, there's a lot of things that we've corrected. And they really are what state code and,
Actually, I was there to ask about tonight, what we're going to do about policies. Real quick, the exam policy down here at the bottom, did you say if we're going to tie that to
the,
attendance?
it's an administrative guideline. And it will change for next year.
Okay.
Yes. We will not be under the one we are right now. Discipline, yes. Discipline, changing. On that same line, we had the principals in this past week, and we brought in the prosecuting attorney, we had all the pro officers in here, and we did talk about the discipline policy, because sometimes when Mr. Kirby is in a situation and he's in court, one school will have disciplined this way for the same offense, and it'll be different at this school. So we had a long conversation about that. Everybody that needed to be in the room was in the room. When we addressed that, it was a nice conversation. So we really took a lot of notes, and we'll be making sure that we make those changes too. So the other thing to note on this timeline, and I just put it on there, that regular board meeting on July 2nd, that's the second reading. The only reason I wrote over there was just so you would know. Judge Matish has agreed to come in and do the swearing in and the oaths of office on that day. It was our regular board meeting. I just kind of made a note on there. And it would be at 12 o'clock for the organizational and then 1 o'clock for the regular. We're doing a complete snapshot of all of our meetings from July on, and we're working on that right now. We're going to have all the budget stuff on there, the hearing, everything. So you can say that again, Mr. Hammond. But anyway, we'll have that for you probably at the next meeting. We're shoring up all, so you'll have a good look at what the next year's going to be. The other thing in your packet is, this is older, but it's still the Open Meetings Act. Did you not give them a binder? Oh, she didn't give them a notebook.
I'm going home. They've already forgotten me, Mr. Tucker.
She did not order him.
That's all right. I know you.
Yeah, so it's just a good handbook, and I thought you might be interested in that, so we made you a copy. It is from 2014, but I don't think much has changed with that. This was provided to me. It was interesting. Somebody sent me, and it was a lady, this Emily Height, and it is the history of Height Field.
I didn't even get that.
I never had seen that before. And it was just really interesting. It came in the mail. I had a really nice handwritten letter with it, and I thought I would share that with you. And then also I gave you a hard copy of the election results for the consolidation. I sent it in an email, but I also provided you, and it's fine. Everybody voted to give priority to the folks in the building. And I have a few other things. I'm sorry, Mr. Hammond.
That's all right. Well, before you go to that, I'll
Sure.
address the other thing. I
Okay.
think Mr. Devano had alluded to it. And my question is on the insurance, and I'm not, and obviously, the Dyers have been around forever, and they've done a good job with this, and I'm not, but at the same time, I'm not gonna allege, obviously, no, all due respect to Mr. Dyer, you know, someone comes and says, it was this way, you know, and I'm not gonna take sides, because we don't know, we're just hearing it for really the first time, and we're not gonna side, you know, one against the other, whatever. So I would just ask, and I don't know if the rest would object, if we could just, because, you know, the way it was done, and it happens a lot when you put out RFPs, if we could just have our counsel, Jason Long,
Jason Long?
to look at it from start to finish and give us a timeline, just to make sure that it was either done the proper way or improper way or whatever. And like I said, that may be, you know, by the time we get those results, it may be after the, and not really supposed to, but, I mean, we can talk to you after that, but, I mean, that's the only thing I can ask, because, you know, we can't sit here, we're not insurance specialists or whatever. I just want to make sure what you're alleging, that it wasn't, Mr. Long knows this inside and out, he would get to the.
Same with our, we've been doing business within 20 years, we've been through RFPs before, we've always been notified.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but I'd rather it come from our council, just give us a report and say, this was done, here's the timeline, you know, and whether, and he knows it pretty well too, so he would, and that way we're not we're not sitting here saying, you know, going against a staff member, or we're not going against you, it's a genuine third party, he is our attorney, but he would give us a timeline, and then the board, including the new board, because it may be, you know, a couple weeks or whatever, hopefully, I think he can do it fairly soon.
I think he's considering it to be timely, so.
And I would think that Mr. Long could, you're just doing a timeline of how it was done, so I would say by our next meeting, we should find out.
So should we put a note for agenda and contracts in regard to something like that on the agenda?
Well, we've already done, I mean, I would wait for the legal counsel to say,
On the next meeting.
yeah, that's what I mean, but I wouldn't want to put it, because here's the problem is, and like I said, no offense there, if the attorney says it was all well and proper or whatever, then we run into the risk, because we've already awarded it to someone else, then they would have the legal. So I would just rather that Mr. Long look at it, do the timeline, do the research, and then tell the board, you know, his findings. And then at that point, once you have that, then obviously the Dyers would have their counter to that, you know, but we need that report first, because we need to know the timeline. And I don't think it's proper for us to sit here and talk insurance apples to oranges. Let him bring it and say it was done this way. It was either, you know, there could be issues with this or whatever, but let Mr. Long, and he's good at those type of things.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm also wanting to let everyone know, you know, regardless of what the legal findings are, I don't find the process to be fair and appropriate.
Right, but well,
There's
and I'm not
actually,
saying it's gonna be a legal opinion from him. He's just basically an investigator, gathering the facts, putting them before this board to make that decision.
Make sure everybody knew what happened, and if you're good with it or not.
And that's about all we can do, because it's been awarded. We couldn't even come in here and retroactively say, no, we cancel that, and we're going with that. We need the facts from the attorney.
Problem with part of that timeline is some of the policies, all of them,
I understand.
that
Well,
have been signed over.
if there's no objection from the board, then the superintendent will get a hold of him
I
tomorrow.
will, first thing, it'll be my job tomorrow.
Just
To
want to make
look at
sure.
that,
Happy to engage you. on
and
that.
if I have any
And I think
questions,
this
do you
board
mind
wants
if
to
I
just make
reach out to
sure.
him? If
No,
I
I
have
have no problem
questions?
with that.
And there is an appeals process in the 8200 policy on the awarding of RFPs. I don't know whether you're familiar with that. We can talk about that tomorrow too, but let me,
I just, the only thing I will say is, I've always, and I know Mr. Hamrick has as well, but I've always been, Mr. Hamrick has as well, and I would believe that the two of you are also, that we should support Harrison County businesses at all costs. And whatever we can do to support Harrison County businesses.
And like I said, if it was awarded properly or whatever, we may have our hands tied. That's up to our attorney to decide, but I agree with what you're saying, but at this time, it's been awarded, so.
All right, if it's already been awarded, then everything's on the up and up with the opinion from the attorney. It'll be up for bid again next year also, won't it?
that would be a.
And like I said, Let Jason tell us the best.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And that way, he's doing in an investigative mode of finding out what the timeline is, because, you know, I want that, he's truly is a third party, because even though he does represent it, he's going to tell us what's in our best interest.
Appreciate that. I'm just saying, with fact that it was put in the newspaper isn't good enough for me.
I understand. And like I said, I'm sure he'll, if he's doing his diligence, he'll speak with you. But in the meantime, we'll make sure to get that ball rolling just so we can, I'd like to get it taken care of one way or another before I leave.
It might warrant addressing process and policy 8200 as well.
Yes.
If we can maybe put that to the forefront also.
Yeah.
We can do that.
So we'll try to at least have something back for our next meeting.
I will get back with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if things, if you don't feel that you got a fair shake, maybe if you know an attorney or something like that, I don't think they say that.
He already left.
It's
Hey, they already walked down.
He didn't want any part of it.
That's not my approach or intent. I just want to be treated fairly and have an opportunity.
We understand. Thank you.
Thank you all. Are you done with me for the evening? I can get out?
Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The next part may be riveting. You might want to stay.
Everything I've
It
heard
is.
so far has been good.
We'll talk some more. Just a couple more things. We are looking into the transfers and open enrollment really closely this time due to the Liberty, the consolidations, and we'll have that next meeting with an idea of how many. We have quite a few, but it's interesting where they're going. They're different places. They're not all just from Mountaineer Middle to Robert C. Hurs or so. And they're still happening. We're getting them. Then we have one, and then they call today and they pull it back. So I think people are really trying to decide what they want to do. So Julie and Mr. Kirby's working on that. So I appreciate that. And then we have some facilities update. I did talk with Mr. Dennis, and he was in here day before yesterday, talking about working at Nutterford, starting to remove the playground equipment there.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the beginning of the,
I believe that's gonna cost us a bunch of money when it's done and we have to put the playground back. Because,
I think there was some concern today. I had a teacher call, because I think that we see it as beginning a project, they see it as carrying out the playground, so.
Yeah. Well, so I talked to the guys that are actually doing work. The way that was anchored into the ground, the playground, it was concrete, so it had to be cut off flush. And so we'll have to see if we're able to build a self-sustained system for foundation. So, because a lot of times ideally they come as a unit and they're all together. So our ripper welders may be able to weld all that together. So we'll just have to look at that. They try to take good care of what they move. Anytime you're tearing things out, it's, tearing it out. Doesn't look good. Not a
And
good
it's the
problem.
pre-K kindergarten
Right.
playground right there. It's not, and they still have a playground to utilize.
On the other
It'll
side.
just not be quite as convenient.
We'll move it into
During the
Mr.
project.
Backyard.
Sure.
Yeah.
But just to update you, and I'll update you on we did have a pre-bid for the Simpson Airport projects on Monday. And there will be a bid opening on, June 12th. So next week.
how many left?
We had several. I think we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 10. From the information I heard, this is a good time. It's not always a good time in summer bid projects, but there's a lot of competition because there's not as much work out there. So we're hoping that this will be a competitive bid, and we can get that, the bid at a reasonable price. There'll have to be, there is some pipe property at Simpson, and we're working to get a temporary easement through a private property owner over there. So we're hoping that doesn't slow progress down. The other thing is an update is summer work begins Monday, and the extra crews that have been hired will begin, they'll begin Monday. They'll have 43 days on their contract. So with that, we have maintenance and we have a custodial staff. And the custodial staff will be busy working on cleaning and redoing the floors. The maintenance department, which kind of is comprised of some extra floor crew, which will be installing extra flooring, replacing a lot of the carpet that is in our schools. And then also painters, because we have several painting projects that we're doing this year as well. And so we'll meet with them first thing Monday morning and try to get that kicked off on a promise. Then we did sell the, for Bottom's Realty, we did sell the Robert C. Birdhouse for $15,250 plus a 10% buyer's premium. So we should be receiving our money from Hoffman's early next week, and they will be, the purchaser will begin moving that, and then we will make it look nice after all that. So also our HVAC, we've talked about this before. I believe, and it's my recommendation, we start looking at possible contracts with some local HVAC companies, that if we get in a bind, we have an MOU, whatever we need to legally do, to have some contractors that can assist with some of the HVAC work. Again, every one of our schools have HVAC, our systems are such that all windows are shut, doors are shut. If you have a unit that goes down, it's a problem. You have a fifth grade classroom or elementary kids, and then you're in the middle of summer, it's a problem. We had some of that at Rush Milford. I'm sure you all have received some of those concerns, not Fort. And so, it's hard to find HVAC guys that work for school board. We're one of the few school boards that actually has some HVAC workers. And the market's very competitive out there, so we hope to retain the ones that we have, but we just don't want to put ourselves in a situation where at the last minute we can't make the repairs that are necessary on our HVAC work. To me, that's a pressing issue that I'll be working with Joe Prato, superintendent, on trying to seek the appropriate process to be able to get some HVAC companies.
And that's still a problem too. For instance, the new county building that I'm in, the air conditioning was down for 4 days. Luckily, 4 days I wasn't there. And it was 85 degrees in there, and it took them 4 days from the time they called for someone to show up. They showed up and it was back on in less than 15 minutes.
Right.
But it took them that long.
And that's where we're very fortunate to have the guys that we have, and we only have 4 of them. And at any given day, one of them off. So we just need to start making provisions to be prepared for the worst case scenario. Because when they start calling, they call you guys, the school, they call the superintendent, they call me, and they're upset, and I understand. And they don't want to hear that the guy's off work or that you don't have a part and you can't get a replacement. They want their facility to feel comfortable. And I get that, because they're advocating.
Imagine if we had year-round school.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So whenever you talk about a contract with them, like sort of an on-call contract with them?
Well, we need to look through the process that we can legally get an MOU in place. So I'll work with Whitney and with Jill Fratto for that process and the superintendent.
There are counties that currently don't have HVAC people that have these types of
One county,
contracts.
most of their
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, some of them for different jobs. So it's definitely very doable. We just need to get one and get it in.
And if our guys can do the work, I mean, our goal is that our guys can continue to
It's
do
when they get
work.
overwhelmed.
When they get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Have too many work orders. We have some great local folks that will help.
I don't know that any one company could actually take care of all of our facilities, because we have so many. So if we were able to get a few contractors and MOU with them.
And sometimes those contractors have the part that you have to wait a week on. They may already have it stock, and they're not gonna sell it to you because they're using it for their customers.
Yes, and we've seen that, and we've also seen where, some outside contractors can get parts ordered quickly, so the
Yeah.
supply chain's a little better for them than it is for the school
Yeah,
system.
exactly. They may have it in stock, so.
So school systems sometimes pay premium dollars for, replacement parts.
Yeah, this absolutely in no way is to take the place of our maintenance.
No, our guys are.
We don't
doing
want
a great
that.
job.
They would welcome.
It's really,
I
yeah, it's
I
really
just don't want
to
to put our
support them.
county in a situation where we have schools that, luckily Nutter-Fort, their system went completely down the last week of school. And thank goodness that, the weather was, helpful. Mother Nature helped us out that week. Because they were trying, you have teachers that they're giving exams, finalizing things, and then those last few days, they're preparing the rooms for summer, summer cleaning and floor crews to come in. So, some of them were upstairs, the rooms were extremely hot. So,
What did we do when we didn't have air conditioning?
we opened the windows,
And we survived.
and we survived.
That's right.
Mr. Lopez, how old is the playground equipment that they're actually moving?
That equipment, my guess is 10 years old, 10-ish years old.
It's not real old.
Okay.
So, yeah,
And
that's,
safety wise, it's okay to move it and all that?
Well, we have to move it.
I mean, we're gonna use it again, we're gonna.
Yeah, we'll have to evaluate whether we can reuse it or not. A lot of it will have to do with the structure itself. If we can, again, our guys, I can say that our roofer welders do that kind of work. When they do it, they do an extremely good job. But it's a matter of if we can get that and get it done safely.
Signed off,
And
right?
signed off on it.
that's all I have for superintendent's update.
All right, that moves us down to consent items. A and B, we'll take those together. Is there a motion? Meeting minutes, financial transactions.
I'll make a motion to accept consent items A and B as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, purchase of iPads for high school students and teachers. In front of you there.
Purchase.
That's why I did it separate.
Yeah. in order to purchase.
So is there a motion? No one wants to buy?
I'll make a motion to purchase the iPads.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, just a couple of things. On our policy for iPads, every student is given an iPad, correct? Do they have to take it? I'm just asking.
That's a good question. I would think that they would need to have it for their work.
Okay, so when you're
Yes.
saying the work, it is, when we do textbooks and textbooks online, do we actually have the textbooks online and a hard copy? Or do we just have the hard copy and we're using the iPads for supplemental materials?
I mean, in the past, I think we've always gotten both, right, from the licenses.
I think the books are the supplemental, and I think it's the other way around. I think.
There's
iPad-
always
don't
a
like
need,
that.
there's always a need textbook
And there
available.
only one copy go for,
The textbooks on the iPads are downloaded. Am I not correct, Todd, that if they have no internet, they still have availability of those,
Most of the books are like that.
the textbooks?
and
But do they get both?
There's a hard,
Most of the subscription copies, the subscriptions are bundles like that now, so most of them are class sets are available.
classroom
Oh,
set.
so there's classroom sets.
Yeah.
you think, Todd, I'm old, I can't hardly hear you.
Classroom set.
Is there just one set of the classroom,
Yeah.
and every kid gets an iPad?
There's usually an extra ones ordered
Ordered.
for kids that want a hard copy.
Usually. I mean, that's what, so,
Elementaries do.
okay, but.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So is this 6 through 12, the 3,300 then, or what?
The iPads are, yeah, 612.
9 through.
Nine through-
And these are high school,
Okay.
high school students and the teachers.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to be a place there.
We did middle and elementary earlier in this.
Everybody
Okay.
will have new devices with this version.
Elementary does not have, each kid is not given
an iPad. There is one there for them, but they don't take them back and forth with them. There's enough for every child in the classroom.
Well, we still have most of them, right?
Yes.
And they have books. Most elementary books now are not a textbook. It's something you write in and go. I mean, it's.
They're all consumable.
It
pretty
looks
much.
like a workbook, but it's the textbook.
What happens with the old iPads?
We're working on that. We're looking at most counties sell them back, to a third-party company. So we're working on how that works under the policy.
They bid them, or is it a bid type of thing that people bid on?
That's what, Phil's actually working on that now. I don't really have the answer on that yet. Right now, they're just sitting in the warehouse.
What's an individual iPad cost? Just one,
Like $294, something like that, maybe,
$294?
something like that.
$325.
Yeah,
$294.
we're buying a lot.
And we'll probably get $149.
That also includes covers, correct?
And since we, you
That's
know,
all the.
again, the old ones, you're probably, you know, you're selling them in bulk, so there's something, but you're probably only in the $30-40 range, honestly.
I have some estimates, but we're still working on,
But I wonder, with that, you know, if some can be set aside for, like in this building, they do adult basic education and things like that. It may be something where we'd like to, you know, do that because they wouldn't have access, like United Way does adult basic education. So, you know, segment, rather than, it may be of help, of big value to someone like that.
Grand Families Program?
Yeah, grand families.
Well,
Some of those.
we're also looking to utilize some of those trainings, right, Jan?
What?
We're also looking to utilize some of those for trainings, and we talked about that as well.
We're setting up another area here in the building. It was where the museum was going to be on the second floor. It had new flooring in it, and it's kind of, and we need an additional testing space when we're bringing our service folks in for testing for the different classifications. So we're using, I believe, 30 of the iPads or computers that are, we're hoping to,
Right.
for that area, and we're putting tables in there, and it's just gonna, so we're not constantly moving tables, we move them here, we move them there.
I think rather than
So
getting
having it a regular
pittance
space.
out of, you know, maybe there are adult basic education. Places like the Kelly Miller, they do adult basic education classes. So if we kind of reach out to some of those, you know, and do that.
What about for the backpackers? Should we reach out to them?
My question, Todd, is turnaround or return. What's the percentage of non-return, and then of that, what's the percentage of actually getting reimbursed for the lost iPad or the non-returned iPad?
I don't have a hard number on that. I can get, you know.
I mean, is it huge or is it just?
Nah, it's not a big number.
It's usually a damage or something. Somebody
Yeah.
spilled something on it, or they ran over it, or
It's mostly damage.
stepped on it.
As far as kids not turning anything in, that's a fairly small number. It's not a huge number. We don't think it's a big problem.
Which for as many as go out, it's probably,
Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing that it is so low.
yeah. We recover a lot of them too, so people think they're lost and I.
For 5 years in the closet somewhere?
Yeah, yeah, imagine that. But yeah, a lot of times people will say, hey, I lost it, and I, you know, give it a couple of days and they end up turning up, you know, just under a basket somewhere.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, purchase of MacBooks for elementary teachers and social studies adoption. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we approve purchase of MacBooks for elementary teachers and social studies adoption.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, why are these two together?
It's the same model. It was in the same store, basically, same model like
The
that.
social studies adoption, what is that?
That's just for middle and high schools. That's the Mac side of that. We'll be buying some PCs as well for them. So we kind of, it's usually about 60% that request Macs. So we went ahead and to maximize the the funding that was available.
For the social studies, do we know who was on that adoption committee for the social studies?
That's not what it is.
It's not that? Okay,
No, it's just their devices, they're in the rotation to get new devices.
okay.
It's
I-
not books.
It's just you're getting them off the same vendors.
Social studies now.
Okay,
Social studies adoptions next year.
okay.
It's two different things, but they're getting them off the same vendor, so it's all in one.
It doesn't read like that.
It's just backwards.
Do,
Okay.
do we do any business with James and Law in regard to these books?
These aren't books,
No, these aren't books.
these aren't books.
None of this is books.
We don't-
This is just,
All of our textbooks
This-
consumed the law going through paper.
Oh,
all of them, yeah,
okay.
Yes.
and should.
They, yeah, I mean, well, they've been in business for
Yeah.
130 years.
All right, any other discussion on the MacBooks? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Purchase of kitchen equipment from Hooten Equipment Company for use in child nutrition. Is there, moved and second, any discussion? My only discussion is sometimes on some of these things, I would probably move those to new business rather than under consent items, because consent items are usually uncontroverted. When you're purchasing things like this, you could have more discussion, which should theoretically be under new business, rather than consent items. Meeting minutes, financial transactions that come every time. Yeah, I would have, I mean, right, C through F really should be under new business, from here on out, because they are things that require more discussion. Consent items should be items that really there's not discussion because they're every meeting. And we don't have these things every meeting, so just a little parting shot.
I looked at this dishwasher here for the elementary school. I'm thinking, you must do everything.
I don't think it's the kind of dishwasher that we have in our house.
Is there any other discussion?
I'd like to have one like mine.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item F, recommend the issuance of purchase orders Charleston Filter for fiscal year 2024 HVAC filter services. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Is this who we used before? For a long time?
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New business, Communities and Schools Memorandum of Agreement. Speak to that, or?
Well, we had, because of the closure of Norwood, we had to change that agreement, and it's now WI. WI will be getting a community and schools position.
Okay. Is there a motion?
That's just to approve it to go to WI.
Yeah, this is the agreement, yeah.
Moved by Mr. Hoag. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Out-of-state professional leave request. Is there a motion there?
Make a motion, we approve staff
Yes.
professional leave request.
For the next one.
Moved by Ms. Smith and seconded by Mr. Tucker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. No old business. Policy updates. Moves us down to personnel and personnel matters. Item 10, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve personnel matters as presented.
I move pursuant to, I'm sorry, 6-9A-42 of the West Virginia Code that the board go into executive session to discuss personnel and personnel matters, which, if discussed in public, might affect adversely the reputation of this person.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Executive.
We return from executive session.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And we're back into regular session and back to the matter at hand, which is the personnel and personnel matters. Item A. Is there a motion? Mr. Tucker, I believe, has a recusal.
Yes,
I make a motion, oh, yeah, sorry. go ahead.
for my, Glenda.
The item with Glenda Tucker as a substitute.
Pulling the addendum.
Well, no, that'll be second. But he's recusing himself from the item where his wife is a substitute. So with the recusal, you can make it.
I'll make the motion to approve the personnel agenda with notice to Mr. Tucker's recusal.
Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, personnel agenda addendum. I believe Ms. Fetler has.
Yeah, I'm requesting from the board to pull the addendum for personnel. B, item B.
Okay, if there's no objection, it will be so done. Item 11, suspension of employee. And that would be employee A. Is there a motion to accept the suspension?
I make a motion, we accept the suspension of employee A.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That's for a one-day unpaid suspension for Jessica Jones, fourth grade teacher, then for intermediate. And that moves us down to board member comments. Mr. Tucker.
Well, welcome back, first of all, Mr. Hamrick. Secondly, thank the board members for being able, and Mrs. Stutley, Mrs. Leesburg for being able to sit down and have a great discussion on items that we brought up, an item that we brought up in executive session. Appreciate that.
Ms. Smith.
I'm good.
Mr. Hope.
No, I just think we have a lot on the table here in the next couple of weeks. We need to take a look at and get cleaned up before we start into the new year, July 1st, 2nd. There we'll swear us in.
Ms. Santilli would appreciate that. We get it cleaned up before. Mr. Devon.
The only thing that I would like to say is I'd like to request a new West Virginia code book. If we could get a copy of the new code book, there's been a lot of updates, a lot of changes. The one that I have is from 10 years ago. Haven't got one since.
It's not like.
It's time to, yes, thank you. I'd like to get a new one.
Yeah, and that would be good to get, because I don't think you
guys did,
got
yeah.
They used to give them to us at the,
Dr. Santilli might want one as well.
yeah, they used to give them to us at the conference.
Yes, sure.
The new member orientation, you don't get one, so they may give them to them now.
I don't know if they do. They didn't at the one 2 years ago.
Anything else?
No, sir.
And the only thing I have, thanks for the kind words and the wind chimes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Move second, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?